This is Rupert Murdoch, and he's in a lot of trouble. He owns these newspapers as well as Fox News, and it's this news organisation, Fox News, that has pushed the view that Trump had lost the election because of fraud. Two companies, Smartmatic and Dominion, who build and implement electronic voting, are suing Fox News, Fox News' parent company Newsmax, and One America's News for billions of dollars. They're both claiming that Murdoch allowed false coverage of voter fraud and that he knew the claims were false. And among some of the claims, and there are some real wild ones, that Dominion is owned by the family of the late Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez, and that this was organised by Chavez, I assume from beyond the grave. And it wasn't just Fox. These claims were also put forward by Rudy Giuliani.
Not a singular voter fraud in one state. This pattern repeats itself in a number of states. Almost exactly the same pattern, which to any experienced investigator, prosecutor, would suggest that there was a plan from a centralized place.
If you'd like to learn more about this, why don't you check out my video, Capitol Riots, which is available in the description below, and there'll be a link at the end. This is what Trump's soon-to-be-fired lawyer, Sidney Powell, had to say.
What we are really dealing with here and uncovering more by the day is the massive influence of communist money through Venezuela, Cuba, and likely China.
All of whom were supporters and employees of the Trump campaign. But obviously the main focus is on Fox News, so let's have a listen to Fox News presenters saying one thing in 2016 when voter fraud was claimed, and 2020 when voter fraud was claimed. Obviously, 2016 Trump wins, 2020 Trump loses.
So the idea is that Russia somehow got into the software that runs the voting machines and manipulated the results. Is there any evidence that's true? I mean, I'm not saying, like, I'm always open to evidence, but that seems insane to me, and we shouldn't suggest it unless we have actual evidence. At this stage, the fraud that we can confirm does not seem to be enough to alter the election results. We should be honest and tell you that. Of course, that could change. We don't know how many votes were stolen on Tuesday night. We don't know anything about the software that many say was rigged. We don't know. We ought to find out.
If there's every election that doesn't need a recount, it is this one.
What about the arrogance of people saying the president can't get a recount or can't look into allegations?
Somehow Donald Trump was not the duly elected president of the United States. This is all a distraction. In closer, particularly contentious races, Democrats, more so than Republicans, seem to have a problem conceding defeat. I love these legal challenges because we have to get to the bottom of all of this and expose fraud where it occurred.
In June 2022, a judge rejected Fox's motion to dismiss the $1.6 billion lawsuit by Dominion, and earlier on in the year, their suit for $2.7 billion from Smartmatic was also rejected by a judge. I don't care if you have the billions of Scrooge McDuck, there is no way you're going to be able to just simply fork out somewhere in the region of about $5 billion without having to sell some of your assets, such as The Sun, The Times, or even Fox News. And this is why I feel Murdoch is in deep doo-doo. When rejecting the dismissal by Fox of the case, the judge stated that Dominion had adequately pleaded actual malice with respect to Murdoch and Fox Corporation. And it gets better because some of the defense is just beyond a joke. So for example, there is a Fox News presenter called Tucker Carlson who is a awful piece of work. And the way I can say that and justify it is because his own company says the same about him. As part of Fox's defense, they have actually argued that no one with a right mind would actually follow anything that Tucker Carlson said on TV. That's their defense. Somehow, I don't think that's going to hold up in court. The judge for the Dominion case went even further and said that these allegations support a reasonable inference that Rupert and his son either knew Dominion had not manipulated the election or at least recklessly disregarded the truth when they allegedly caused Fox News to propagate its claims about Dominion. Whatever happens, Murdoch is in a lot of trouble. And it won't end there, because if Murdoch loses this case, it means that all that information was false, it'll be out in the press, and it'll be across the United States, meaning that Donald Trump will go from this to something hopefully more like this. Before I say a big thank you, there's a couple of clips at the end all about Fox, but in the meantime, thanks for listening, and thank you to all of my Patreon and YouTube supporters. You help keep this channel growing and going.
Now, to your right, you'll see 30th Century Fox Studios. Fox uses those searchlights to blind pilots, then film the resulting plane crashes.
Daddy. Why has God forsaken us?
I can't imagine what we could have done to... Oh. Oh, no!
Hey, Peg, you gotta take better care of the house. These plants are all lifeless and limp.
Maybe they'd feel more at home in the bedroom. Ow.
Uh-oh. Oh, the network slogan is true. Watch Fox and be damned for all eternity.